Let me introduce you to the perfect SMG for Battlefield 5. Yes, I know one of those kills was terrible aim from me. Sometimes I suck too. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the video. I'm GetGoodGuy, and the ZK383 is the perfect SMG for Battlefield 5. That sounds like quite a statement that some of you may heavily disagree with, but allow me to explain my reasoning and you may start to see where I'm coming from. Why is it perfect? Well, what do I always go on about in Battlefield? Versatility. And why is it even more important in Battlefield 5? Because the maps are massive and there are so many open expanses, but SMGs are designed for close range. And why is versatility even more important for the medic? Because they have to deal with these wide open spaces and fight up close in order to revive allies. And thus that makes the ZK383 the perfect Battlefield 5 SMG. At least currently. We'll see if something better ends up being introduced at a later date. But for now, it's the most perfect example we have. So it's not perfect in terms of being exceptional at everything. Of course, that would destroy balance. But it's capable at all ranges, which gives you a real freedom to play and take on the other classes, which have so far dominated the medic class up until the recent SMG buff. So let's get more in depth as to why I believe it's the perfect versatile SMG choice. But as a quick point, what I explained today doesn't mean this is going to be the right option for everybody and all playstyles. That's not how weapon selection works. In fact, sometimes the best weapon in the game just doesn't work for some players. So take everything as a guide rather than as a hard rule. But the ZK383, well, let's just get the obvious point out there. It's an SMG with a bipod. This already gives it a potentially very important leg up on the other medic options, especially for those players who have incorporated effective bipod usage into their play already. If you know when to go prone and when not to, how to traverse the map in order to utilize ledges to lean on, and just basically moving cover to cover, the ZK383 could be right up your alley. I mean, the sheer range of some maps in BF5, and even just the open expanses you find on some of the smaller maps, have left some SMGs feeling next to pointless at times, so a bipod is extremely welcome. Even if it does take more shots to kill it range than with an LMG, a semi-auto rifle, etc., at least you can reliably hit the target, which is even more vital in a game with attrition. With so many players running around weak, just being able to land a bullet or two at range can net you a kill sometimes. Plus, the headshot multiplier is always a powerful mechanic. But it goes deeper than just it has a bipod. It's a pretty stable weapon regardless, with no real difficulty landing consistent damage at the 514 rounds per minute setting. Or you could even switch it to semi-auto if you so wish. Personally, I just prefer to burst fire when necessary, and holding full auto feels perfectly fine for mid to even some long range fights. It's genuinely that stable. Then it also has a 30 or 40 round mag depending on which specialization you use. That's pretty solid, sitting around the middle of the pack and allowing for multiple kills per reload if you aim well. The other SMGs with similar ammo capacities all fire faster, meaning you can basically fire the ZK383 for a longer amount of time before needing to reload. And the MP34, which has the same rate of fire, has a smaller ammo capacity, so that aforementioned versatility is beginning to shine through for the ZK383. As I said, the actual rate of fire stat is 514 RPM without the light bolt specialization. This makes for a very easily controlled weapon and still lethal enough to not feel like it's killing super slowly. That said, it obviously won't outperform faster firing SMGs at close quarters, but it can still compete if you're an able player, and its solid mid to long range abilities obviously have to be considered as mitigating factors. Somewhat of a jack of all trades, I guess, but with a feather in its cap that the other SMGs just can't claim, with true long range lethality, although it can take up to 8 bullets to kill at more extreme ranges. So we now have stability, a bipod, and a rate of fire that works for the average engagement distance of Battlefield 5, with drawbacks of being outdone in CQC by faster firing options and requiring more bullets to kill at range than true mid to long range weapons such as semi-auto rifles and MMGs. Remember, I'm not putting a case forward for this being the perfect weapon for Battlefield 5. I'm arguing for it being the perfect SMG for Battlefield 5, with all of the limitations of an SMG still being a factor. So is this enough to label it as a truly versatile option? Well, I think so, just about. But there's more. Something that launches the ZK383 truly into the versatility stratosphere, the light bolt specialization. Say you don't want to use it as a slower firing SMG. Say you're going to be running and gunning at close quarters instead. Well, I say great, because the light bolt specialization bumps that rate of fire up to 720 rounds per minute, meaning you have a choice between a high ammo capacity, ADS-centric and high velocity round build for that true longer range medic feel, or a fast aiming, higher rate of fire and quick reloading Slayer medic build while still retaining the bipod. See what I'm saying about versatility? I'll play a little footage here of the faster firing option, and then we'll return to the longer range build after the footage of this game has played out. So with the light bolt attachment, it fires at the aforementioned 720 rounds per minute, the same as the Thompson, but with a bipod. Yes, there are other factors involved, but that's a pretty impressive statement regardless. And so you can switch between the two builds if you so wish, for whichever map or situation you're going to find yourself in, as long as you have the required company coins, of course. Now, as you can see here, the build I currently use is based around the range medic idea I've talked about, although I almost always use light and stock for better strafing. The high velocity rounds at the bottom are selected over quick reload, as 40 rounds is a sizable amount, and faster bullets just makes hitting those range targets that bit easier. You should of course set your weapon up however you're comfortable with. Now, prior to the introduction of the ZK383, the MP34 was the go-to long-range SMG from a statistical analysis standpoint, and while it may well still be that option overall, the ZK383 could well be seen as stealing a march on it by players who are used to utilizing a bipod. It really can be that transformative to the performance of a weapon. Throw in that higher RPM option and you've got yourself a very interesting SMG that too many people took a glance at, branded it as a copy of literally several other different SMGs from the comments that I saw, which really didn't make any sense, and didn't take the time to really look at what it's capable of. It might not be for everyone, but it would certainly work for a lot more people if they gave it a proper chance and really tried to work out what it can do. So what do you think of the ZK383, and which setup do you or would you go for? Let me know in the comments below. I'm going to let the rest of my footage play out now with some background music as per usual, so you guys can see some more of what the weapon is capable of from the perspective of me using it in my average game. If you want to stick around for that, then awesome. If not, that's totally fine. Thanks for spending a few minutes here with me today. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to like, subscribe, turn on notifications, and join my Discord server in the description and my pinned comment. I'll also throw up the board of awesome at the end of the video for the epic people who support the channel on Patreon, who I love deeply and often. And with that all said, I'm GetGoodGuy, and I'll see you next time. Laters.
Seht ihr das? Verdammt gefährlich!